A very good evening to you and welcome to Primetime News, coming to you live from the Newsfirst studios in Colombo. My name is Krishan Devasagayan. Let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines. High-level visits from India and China to support cyclone relief in Sri Lanka. Indian External Affairs Minister to arrive tomorrow. China's third most powerful leader, Zhao Leji, to arrive on Tuesday. UNICEF to support Sri Lanka's school restoration efforts after weather disaster. A nation can only move forward when its people face challenges head-on. A statement from the president.
ඔබට ආරාධනා කරනවා. ඔබට පැවරී තිබෙන කාර්ය වගකීම නිසි පරිදි ඉටු කරන්න. මෙරටේ පොදු ජනතාවට ආරාධනා කරනවා. ඔබට සියලු දෙනාට පැවරී තිබෙන වගකීම නිසි පරිදි ඉටු කරමු.
Defence Ministry introduces database to streamline the distribution of foreign aid.
ආධාර තුගය අවසානයේ පාරිභෝගිකයා දක්වා යන ක්‍රමවේදයක් ඉතා පැහැදිලිව විනිවිද බවින් යුතුව ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා.
Flood warnings for 3 rivers, including the Mahavali, still in effect.
And this is held.
Pakistan beats India to clinch Under-19 Asia Cup.
Picks up the wicket, and it's joy for the dugout as players and officials run in with the flags on their back.
And starting off with your lead story this evening. Sri Lanka is set to host 2 high-level diplomatic visits from India and China this week in a development that carries significance well beyond immediate disaster response in the aftermath of Cyclone Ditwa.
Dr. S. Jaishankar, India's External Affairs Minister, is scheduled to visit Sri Lanka tomorrow on an official visit. Deputy Minister of Tourism, Janitha Ruwan Kodituaku, said that India's External Affairs Minister is expected to reach the island by tomorrow evening. Minister Jaishankar will be arriving in the country to distribute an Indian relief package to communities affected by Cyclone Ditwa. Deputy Minister Kodituaku said that Dr. S. Jaishankar's visit also aims to mark a new milestone in Operation Sagar Bandhu, India's initiative to support disaster-affected people as Sri Lanka continues recovery efforts in the wake of Cyclone Ditwa and amid ongoing engagement between Colombo and New Delhi on economic stabilization, humanitarian support and regional cooperation. Closely following the Indian visit, Chairman of the Standing Committee of China's National People's Congress, Zhao Leji, will arrive in Sri Lanka on Tuesday, the 23rd of December, for a 2-day visit accompanied by a high-level delegation. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says that he will arrive with an additional delegation to observe the next phase of assistance being extended to people in Sri Lanka affected by recent disasters. Zhao Leji, the third most powerful leader in the Chinese government following Chinese President Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Li Qiang, is scheduled to meet President Kumar Dissanayake later the same day. While both visits are linked to discussions on post-cyclone Ditwa recovery and assistance, their timing and the seniority of the delegations has drawn attention in diplomatic circles. India and China remain Sri Lanka's 2 most consequential regional partners, and their near back-to-back engagement highlights Colombo's continued strategic relevance in the Indian Ocean region.
President Kumar Dissanayake urged the public to uphold their responsibilities and work together to transform the nation into one recognized for its integrity, resilience and global value. The president made these remarks while attending the 100th commissioning and passing out parade of the Sri Lanka Military Academy in Diyathalawa today.
President Kumar Dissanayake emphasized that a nation can only move forward when its people face challenges head-on and fulfill their responsibilities without any hesitation. The president made these remarks while attending the 100th commissioning and passing out parade of the Sri Lanka Military Academy in Diyathalawa as its chief guest today. The Military Guard of Honor was accorded to President Dissanayake upon his arrival at the Sri Lanka Military Academy in Diyathalawa this morning. After reviewing the parade, the President presented the gallantry flag to the most outstanding cadet team.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear parents, this is the presentation of the Champions flag to the best all-round company.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා යුද හමුදාවේ සමාජිකයින් වීරෝදාර වීර ක්‍රියා හරහා අපේ මාතෘභූමිය නිදහස් කර ගැනීමේ සටනේ.
Members of the Sri Lanka Armed Forces have carried out heroic acts sacrificing their lives in the struggle to liberate our motherland. You and I now stand on that same sacred land, carrying the immense responsibility of protecting it. Each of us has a duty that cannot be ignored. As members of the Sri Lanka Army, you hold the responsibility of ensuring the security of our nation and its people. During the recent cyclonic weather, your seniors in the Sri Lanka Army played a vital role in saving the lives of countless people who were trapped in disaster zones. I take this opportunity to thank each and every one of them. One thing is clear, their selfless acts demonstrate that whenever our country or its people face a challenge, it is the Sri Lanka Army that always comes forward as the nation's primary guardians and protectors. The responsibility entrusted to you is not merely a professional duty. Throughout its history, our motherland has faced numerous threats in diverse forms. On one hand, we faced an era where the political structure of the country collapsed. We also faced an era where the economy of the nation collapsed. This was a time when there was immense social disruption. There was no value for human relationships. Relationships between parents and children, between teachers and students, between religious institutions and its donors were all under strain. We are now at a critical juncture where we must transform our motherland to one that is globally recognized and appreciated for its high levels of value, integrity and resilience. In achieving this course, each of us has a certain responsibility. As the President, the government and I have certain responsibilities, which is to rebuild the economy and building and strengthening the mechanism needed for this cause. We have the responsibility of establishing and upholding the rule of law. We also have the responsibility of transforming the political culture in Sri Lanka from one that scrounged off the people's wealth to one that works in cohesion with the people of the nation. We need to remember that the duty of political leaders is not to scrounge off the people, rather it is a vocation of serving the people. You too have a similar responsibility. Your parents also have certain responsibilities. Religious institutions also have their share of responsibilities. So how do we move forward? We cannot move forward if we work against one another or if we suspect or consider each other to be untrustworthy. We can only move forward when the people of the nation face challenges head-on and fulfill their responsibilities without any hesitation. I promise you, our government took power to fulfill a number of these responsibilities and we will not shy away from fulfilling them. I invite you to fulfill the responsibilities given to you. If all of us work continuously with one aim, without faltering at any challenge that comes our way, we have the opportunity and the ability to transform our motherland to a state which is unparalleled in its history.
නොසැලී අභියෝගයන් හැම බිඳ නොවැටි අපිට එක්ව වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් ඉතා ඉක්මනින් අපිට අපේ ඉතිහාසයේ මේ අභිමානයේ සහ ගෞරවයේ උරුමයේ සහිත මාතෘභූමියක් අපිට නිර්මාණය කරගත හැකි වේවි.
During the parade, a total of 240 cadets, having successfully completed various courses, including regular officer courses, short-term courses, regular training and voluntary women cadet officer programs, were commissioned into the Sri Lanka Armed Forces. Among them, 8 cadets from foreign countries were also commissioned, highlighting the international significance of the event. The parade was attended by Deputy Minister of Defence, retired Major General Arunajai Sekara, Secretary to the Ministry of Defence, retired Air Vice Marshal Sampath Thuyakonta, commanders of the Tri-Forces, the Inspector General of Police and family members of the newly commissioned officers.
UNICEF has extended support to help restore schools damaged by the recent disasters. A meeting was held at the Prime Minister's office between Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya and UNICEF representatives, during which the government outlined its efforts to safeguard students and rebuild the school system, as well as the challenges it faces in doing so. The UN Resident Coordinator Marc-André Franch also met with the Prime Minister and commended the government's swift and organized response in providing relief to those affected by the disaster.
In another headline-making story this evening, The Ministry of Defence has launched a new database to ensure efficient management and transparent distribution of foreign aid, which will be delivered to affected communities across Sri Lanka.
The Ministry of Defence has introduced a database to streamline the management and distribution of foreign aid.
How is foreign aid accurately recorded in the database?
ඒ දත්ත පද්ධතිය තුල විදේශ ආධාරයක් ආපදාවට අදාළව ලංකාවට ලැබෙනවත් සමගම
As soon as Sri Lanka receives foreign disaster-related assistance, the details are entered into our CASDEC data system. From there, the process of transferring the aid to the final beneficiaries is carried out in a clear and transparent manner.
කා යන ක්‍රමවේදයක් ඉතා පැහැදිලිව විනිවිද බවින් යුතුව ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා.
Who receives the foreign aid and how is it distributed?
එතෙන්දී මේ ලැබෙන ආධාර අපි අපේ ඔරුගොඩවත්ත ගබඩා සංකීර්ණයට ගෙනල්ලා
All foreign aid is first taken to our warehouse in Urugodavatta and properly documented. No aid is allowed to leave without approval. We document all aid received through this channel and issue it to district secretaries based on their need. The distribution is not handled by us directly. The Presidential Secretariat has appointed a committee to oversee distribution, chaired by Deputy Minister of Defence Aruna Jayasekara. I serve as the Secretary alongside 5 officials from various ministries. We review requests from government agents and once approved by all 5 members, the aid is issued to the District Secretary.
ආධාරය පහළට දිස්ත්‍රික් ලේකම් තුමා දක්වා ගෙවන්නේ.
Is the aid received by the district secretary at risk of embezzlement? Can the distribution be accurately tracked and recorded?
දිස්ත්‍රික් ලේකම් මේ ආහාර උපකරණ එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ යන්ත්‍රෝපකරණ
The District Secretary records all incoming aid in the data system, showing which Divisional Secretariat receives it. The Divisional Secretary should then record the final recipients. From arrival to distribution, the system tracks the aid and intelligence agencies verify it reaches the intended beneficiaries. This ensures full transparency and accountability of foreign aid.
අවශ්‍ය ජනතාවට ලැබුණා කියලා අපිට පෙන්වන්න ඕනකම තියෙනවා.
Sri Lanka, now recovering from Cyclone Ditwa, has rebuilt many roads and bridges. Reconstructions of the Pudu Road in Polonnaruwa, once swept away by water levels of the Mahavali River, is currently underway with the combined efforts of officials from the Irrigation Department and local villages. The Yal Rani train along the Northern Railway line between Kankasanthure and Anuradhapura will resume service tomorrow. Departing Kankasanthure at 6 am, it is scheduled to reach Anuradhapura at 10:17 am, while the return journey from Anuradhapura will start at 2:30 pm and will arrive in Kankasanthure at 6:53 pm. Meanwhile, reconstruction along the Batiklo railway line continues. The Department of Railways said that a test train will run tomorrow along the Polonnaruwa Manampetiya section in Gallala, which was damaged during the recent disaster. Meanwhile, activities at the University of Peradeniya, which were disrupted by the recent weather, are scheduled to resume on the 5th of January.
While various groups are working tirelessly to help those affected by the disaster, what is the opposition doing?
SJB MP Mujibur Rahman says that the relief promised by the president must be delivered to the affected people of the country.
මේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා කියන දේවල් වලට එකකටවත් අපි විරුද්ධ නැහැ මතක තියාගන්න.
Let's be clear. We are not against anything the president is saying. We fully support everything he has promised. He mentioned giving 1 million rupees if a tin sheet is lost. We completely back that. He also promised 50,000 rupees and initially 25,000 rupees. And last week in Parliament, there were commitments for businesses as well. We are not against any of that. Our point is that these people have to rebuild their lives from scratch. Their situation is as if they were born today. So, if possible, they should be given even more support. Aid is coming from businesses and wealthy individuals. But our concern is whether all this aid is being properly distributed to the people. If we find areas or people who have not received anything, we will bring it to the government's attention. The president has envisioned a big dream, and our role is to ensure that dream becomes a reality. To help fulfill it, we will continue to hold the president accountable and push for proper implementation.
ඒ සිහිනය ජනාධිපතිතුමා ලබා දීපු ඒ සිහිනය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරවන්න වීම තමයි අපේ වැඩේ.
However, national organizer of SLPP, MP Namal Rajapaksa, says that relief is not what the public expects. He made these remarks in Mavilaru.
People are not just expecting relief. They want to rebuild their lives and return to their villages, restore their homes and resume their businesses. There are groups who are not directly affected by the disaster but whose livelihoods have been impacted. For example, in Mavilaru, the homes of fishermen were not damaged, yet they cannot continue fishing. Even if they weren't directly affected, their careers and daily lives have been disrupted. All of these sectors need attention. Decisions cannot be made by looking at one angle or simply measuring water levels. We need a more practical approach. These people are not asking for handouts. They are individuals who had 3 meals a day, built homes and lived responsibly. Due to this disaster, they are facing serious difficulties. The government should directly intervene and provide support to help them recover.
Meanwhile, the Youth for Change organization accuses the opposition for trying to fish in troubled waters at a time when the people of Sri Lanka are trying to raise their heads from the recent weather disaster.
මේ විපක්ෂෙත් එක්ක මොන මගුලක්වත් කරන්න බෑ. මේ විපක්ෂේ දියාරු වෙච්ච දේශපාලනික අනාථ වෙපි විපක්ෂයක් අපේ රටේ ඉන්නේ. මේ ආපදාව ASCII මේ රටේ විපක්ෂය කරේ මේ බොරදියේ මාළු බාන්න හදන එක මේ මිනීමතින් නැවත Tamanගේ අගාධයට ගිය දේශපාලන අනාථයෝ බවට පත් වෙච්ච එකකින් නැගත නැගිටින්න හදන එක ඇරෙන්න අපි අහනවා මේ ආපදාවට ලක් වෙච්ච ජනතාව නැවත නගා සිටීම සඳහා ඔවුන්ගේ කාර්යභාරය කරන්න අසමත් වෙච්ච විපක්ෂයක් අපිට ඉන්නේ. ඒ නිසා මේ විපක්ෂෙත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා හරි විපක්ෂෙත් එක්ක මොනවා හරි විදිහේ දේවල් කරලා හරි මේ ආපදාව ගොඩ එන්න බෑ. ඒගොල්ලෝ හැදුවේ Tamanට සිද්ධ වෙලා තියෙන ආපදාවෙන් ගොඩ යන්න මේ ව්‍යසනේ පාවිච්චි කළා. එහෙම නැතුව ජනතාව එක්ක වැඩ කරපු ස්වේච්ඡා සංවිධාන තිබුණා. ඒවට අදාළ ස්වේච්ඡාවෙන් මැදිහත් වෙච්ච විශාල තරුණ පිරිසක් මේ රටේ හිටියා. ඔවුන් එක්ක එකතු වෙච්ච මේ ජන ජීවිතේ නැවත ගොඩනැගීම සඳහා වෙච්ච වැඩපිළිවෙලක් සකස් කිරීම, ඒකට ව්‍යුහයක් සකස් කිරීම අත්‍යවශ්‍ය කාරණයක් ලෙස අපි දකිනවා.
And in your weather this evening, the Meteorology Department forecast several spells of showers in the Uva province as well as in the districts of Ampara, Batiklo, Matale, Nuwara and Hambantota in the coming days.
The Met Department predicts showers or thunder showers in the Sabaragamu province as well as in the districts of Gaul, Matara and Kalutara during the afternoons. The department also predicts fairly strong winds of around 40 km per hour gusting over the eastern slopes of the central hills as well as the northern, eastern, north central and northwestern provinces and in the Hambantota and Monaragala districts. Misty conditions are expected in certain areas in the western, Sabaragamu and central provinces and the Gaul and Matra districts during the early hours of the day. The department reminds the public to take precautions against lighting-related accidents. Mainly fair weather is expected across other areas of the island. Meanwhile, the National Building Research Organization states that red alert landslide warnings are in effect in a number of divisional secretariats in the Kandy and Nuwara districts. The NBRO added that landslide warnings issued to DS divisions in the districts of Badutla, Kurunagala and Matale are still in effect. Divisional Irrigation Engineer's Office of Nachadua Reservoir has warned residents in the low-lying areas of Malvatuoya and Tantirimale to remain vigilant as all sluice gates of the Nachadua Reservoir are currently open, releasing excess water into the Malvatuoya.
Carrying the spirit of compassion that even torrential rains nor a cyclone could wash away, the Sirasa Shakti Sahanayatra Flood Relief Initiative continued its operations today for the 24th consecutive day. Many residents in the Wilgamur Divisional Secretariat in Matale remain severely affected by landslides and the overflowing of the Mahavali River. The Sirasa Shakti Sahanayatra Flood Relief Initiative extended its support to the villages of Nugagolla, Guruvelayaya, Dunuvilapitiya, Kumbkandana, Naminigama, Vijayagama and Mivaube in the Vilgamu Divisional Secretariat, distributing much-needed relief supplies to affected communities. Strong support for the effort was provided by the Divisional Secretariat, the police and other government institutions as well as officials in the area. Relief assistance was also distributed to residents of the Sonnuttara village in Vilgamua last night. Meanwhile, essential items and rations were also distributed to several families displaced by landslides in the Laggala Divisional Secretariat who are currently sheltering at the Laggala Mahavidyalaya. In the Badulla district, relief teams reached Kahagalla Vidyalaya in Haputale this afternoon, where several displaced families continue to seek temporary shelter. The relief mission also reached the Kinlan estate in Kumbalwala under the Alla Divisional Secretariat yesterday. A total of 42 families displaced by the disaster are temporarily residing at the Dova Vidyalaya in Alla, where essential supplies were distributed. Despite difficult travel conditions, the relief convoy later reached the High Forest and Seaton estates in Kandapula, Nuvarelia. The Sirasa Shakti Sahana Yatra Flood Relief Initiative stands as a source of strength and compassion for thousands, spreading humanity and collective care across the country with the people.
News First with the people.
News First, main sponsor.
Valuable FD, the symbol of stability. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability.
BizFast.
Bringing you an update from the world of business. Overseas work remittances has increased by 20.1% within the first 11 months of 2025 compared to the same period last year. Accordingly, during this period, remittances amounted to $7,197.1 million, up from $5,961.6 million recorded during the same period in 2024. And moving on to more local news, a sudden and intensive search operation was carried out this evening within the Mathura court premises as two suspects attempted to hide and escape from prison authorities.
What happened at the Mathura court?
Two suspects arrested by the Mathura police were produced before the Kotavila court today. The suspects were taken into custody from Kottagoda area in Mathura and Midigama in Waligama on charges of possession of illegal narcotics. Following their court appearance, the magistrate ordered that both suspects be remanded in custody for 14 days. While in the custody of prison officers, the suspects had suddenly disappeared without the knowledge of the officers. A swift, coordinated operation was launched to recapture them, and within 3 hours, both suspects were apprehended hiding in a coconut grove of a bare land in Mahavatta, Kotavila. The suspects were returned to custody following their recapture.
Mourners in Australia fell silent today in honor of the victims of the Bondi Beach attack.
The memorial was a part of a national day of reflection to mark a week since the shooting in which 2 gunmen opened fire on an event celebrating the Jewish festival of Hanukkah. A 10-year-old girl, a British-born rabbi and a Holocaust survivor were among 15 people killed in the attack. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese was booed when he arrived at the memorial event, an expression of anger by Australia's Jewish community against his government after a rise of anti-Semitic attacks over the past few months. As the sun set over Sydney on this evening, a minute's silence was observed at 6:47 p.m. Australian time, exactly 1 week since the first reports of gunfire at the famous beach. There was heavy security at the memorial event. Some cordoned-off areas were guarded by armed riot squad officers who had their face covered, while a police patrol boat was visible off the coast of Bondi Beach. For many Australians, this level of security is an unfamiliar sight. The event ended with the lighting of the menorah, something the crowds gathered for Hanukkah last week couldn't do.
Now, US Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem confirmed yesterday that the United States has seized an oil tanker in international waters off the coast of Venezuela. The move comes just days after US President Donald Trump announced a blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers entering or leaving Venezuela.
The US has seized an oil tanker that had recently departed from Venezuela, according to the US Department of Homeland Security. It is the second time this month that the US has seized an oil-carrying ship off the country's coast. The move comes after US President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that he was ordering a blockade of sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving Venezuela. Venezuela has condemned the latest US seizure, describing it as a theft and kidnapping. Venezuela has previously accused the US of trying to steal its resources. The operation was led by the US Coast Guard, similar to the operation earlier this month. The ship was boarded by a specialized tactical team and was in international waters when it was taken. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, whose department oversees the Coast Guard, shared a video of the operation on X. She posted a 7-minute video of the operation, which shows US helicopters landing on the deck of a ship with the name Centuries written on the side. According to records, the Centuries is a Panamanian-flagged ship, but in the past 5 years, it has also sailed under the flags of Greece and Liberia. Meanwhile, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva said yesterday that an armed intervention in Venezuela would be a humanitarian catastrophe in the face of escalating actions from the United States toward regional neighbor Venezuela. Lula and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, the leaders of Latin America's 2 largest economies, had already urged restraint this week as tensions escalated. But yesterday, during a summit of the South American Mercosur bloc, Lula made a strong statement against what he said would be a dangerous precedent for the world. More than 4 decades after the Falklands War between Argentina and Britain, he added, quote, "The South American continent is once again haunted by the military presence of an extra-regional power," end quote. In a joint statement following the Mercosur summit, Latin American leaders reaffirmed their commitment to upholding democratic principles and human rights in Venezuela through peaceful means. The declaration was endorsed by the presidents of Argentina, Paraguay and Panama, alongside senior officials from Bolivia, Ecuador and Peru.
The US military carried out widespread strikes on dozens of Islamic State targets in Syria on Friday in response to an attack on American forces.
The US military launched large-scale strikes against dozens of Islamic State targets in Syria on Friday in retaliation for an attack on American personnel. A US-led coalition has been carrying out airstrikes and ground operations in Syria, targeting Islamic State suspects in recent months, often with the involvement of Syria's security forces. President Donald Trump had vowed to retaliate after a suspected ISIS attack killed US personnel last weekend in Syria. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the strikes targeted ISIS fighters, infrastructure and weapons sites, and that the operation was called Operation Hawkeye Strike. Trump said on social media that the Syrian government fully supported the strikes and that the US was inflicting very serious retaliation. At a speech in North Carolina on Friday night, Trump called it a massive blow against ISIS members that the US blames for the 13th of December attack on coalition forces.
Just 2 hours ago, we hit the ISIS thugs in Syria who were trying to regroup after their decimation by the Trump administration 5 years ago. We hit them hard. I ordered a massive strike on the terrorists that killed our 3 great patriots last week. 2 soldiers, 1 interpreter, all great people. And it was very successful. It was precision. We hit every site flawlessly, and we are restoring peace through strength.
U.S. Central Commander said the strikes hit more than 70 targets across central Syria, adding that Jordanian fighter jets supported the operation. Syria has been cooperating with a U.S.-led coalition against Islamic State, reaching an agreement last month when President Ahmed al-Sharaa visited the White House.
In cricket news, Pakistan clinched the 2025 Under-19 Asian Cricket Cup, defeating India by 191 runs in the final this evening.
The nail-biting match between India and Pakistan under-19 teams took place at the ICC Academy Stadium in Dubai. India under-19 won the toss and chose to field first. Pakistan's Samir Minhas, batting first, scored 172 runs off 113 balls, including 9 sixes and 17 fours. Ahmed Hussain top-scored with 56 runs, while Deepesh Devendran took 3 wickets.
So far, now this is one-handed.
Pakistan went on to post 347 for 8 in their 50 overs.
347 for 8 in 50 overs. That's what the Pakistan under-19 side have posted.
In response, the Pakistani bowlers did not allow the Indian team to gain any momentum. Vaibhav Suryavanshi was dismissed for 26 runs.
Yes! Gone! Big wicket!
And India's top order lost 5 wickets for just 68 runs. All 6 remaining batsmen failed to reach double figures. Deepesh Devendran contributed 36 runs with the bat, while Ali Raza took 4 wickets. Chasing a target of 348, India was bowled out for 156 runs in 26.2 overs.
As Ali Raza picks up the wicket, and it's joy for the dugout as players and officials run in with the flags on their back. Jubilation for the crowd as Pakistan clinched the Asia Cup Under-19 title after 13 years.
With this comprehensive win, Pakistan celebrated their triumph as champions of the Asian Under-19 cricket tournament. The tournament was broadcast on TV1, the official local broadcast rights holder of the tournament, and was streamed online via www.sirasatv.lk. We are ready to bring you more exciting sports experiences from many more upcoming tournaments. Stay tuned.
It's been something that is great to witness.
And on that note, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you for watching. Take care, good night, and God bless you.